Welcome back, everyone, to Trini Talks. So tonight, this is where we're going to. Welcome back to Trini Talks. This is the podcast where we lime, we reason, we talk. We talk not just about any and everything, but we talk about real issues affecting Trinidad in the Caribbean. And today's topic is Stay or Migrate, which is the Great Caribbean Dilemma. But today we'll be tackling that serious question that a lot of more so younger people are faced with, which is, should we stay and build here or migrate for a better life there? So we'll jump into it. Before we start, there's episode 1 and 2 out already. Be sure to check those out. Last episode was a topic that was a little more serious on certain aspects. So if you're first time here, feel free to drop a like, drop a listen, subscribe, all of those good things. And yeah, let's jump into this interesting topic. I hope you all like my little background that I had going here, because these things just be hard to come up with every week. And yes, I say every week, but we've been missing for about a month, and that's because your boy was out working, which is kind of one of the questions we're gonna be jumping into today. All right, so the first thing we're gonna jump into in discussing is the reality in Trinidad. So what people experiencing locally. So some of the things that might affect this question here. So one of those things is, first and foremost, the cost of living is going through the roof. Some of us barely surviving. The youths and them barely surviving, especially when you're fresh out of UE, fresh out of school, degree, CXC, A levels, whatever it may be. That cost of living beating up everybody, and the reason it beating up everybody is because, one, cost of living going up. That means your bills, your rent, your gas, your food, your passage, everything going up. And the things that not going up is job opportunities. Job opportunities is the next one that just they. Some of us working, yes, but we're working in things that we didn't even study for. Like, my current job have nothing to do with my degree. Nothing. I don't even get paid for my degree right now. I am being underpaid at a job that has nothing to do with my degree. Just like many other students who have degrees. Not just that, many other people with experience in general. So job opportunities is our next thing the young people like myself are experiencing problems with. And you see it every day. People posting on Facebook, Instagram, the WhatsApp groups asking for jobs, looking for jobs. And nowadays it kinda is like who and sometimes not even that working out. So yeah, that's one aspect of it too, why people keep asking themselves this question, if it makes sense, because that's just the reality of it here. And then crime just going up and up and up and up and up, and crime making it difficult for everybody in general. So when the crime go up, people start thinking about this a little bit more, because now they think it makes no sense to stay here. With all this crime, they might feel safer if they go elsewhere with better numbers crime-wise. And that leads us to the point of feeling stuck. So young professionals like myself and many others are stuck. And when I say stuck, I don't mean like stuck as in, you're stuck in Trinidad, but more so we feel stuck because of a variety of things. One being, some of us are in jobs that we're not passionate about, or it has nothing to do with what we spend all these years and money behind learning. So like you might have an engineer, a youth man, or a smallie, or a girl. I don't know how to refer to all yet, because it's a bunch of people listening to this. So everybody listening, smallie, youth man, uncle, auntie, whoever it is, a bunch of us who have the experience feeling stuck because some of us have these qualifications and we end up doing jobs that have nothing to do with them. So like how I mentioned before, I have people with degrees doing cashing in groceries, KFC, fast food outlets, retail stores, these variety of different things. And that's because we can't get jobs, we feel stuck. And then when you get into these jobs, sometimes it's hard to even rise in the ranks, so you're still feeling stuck. And there's the thing with trying to be a young entrepreneur while you're doing that job, to kind of make a path for yourself, and that comes with challenges because we have so many restrictions. One, if you want to start an online business, it's hard to get bank accounts for certain things. It's hard to get credit cards to use if you have an online business to bring in your goods. Clearance with customs is terrible. You're gonna have to mark up your goods by 3-4 times the price to make a profit, which some people had to do. These are all challenges we face in with entrepreneurship here. Another thing is, some people pulling through, but how long it's going to take? Some people don't have that support system to push them or to help them. So it cycles back around to young people feeling stuck again and doing something they don't really want to do. And then the next thing, a lot of us, like I said before, working in jobs that not paying enough. Me, for example, I work in a job. My job is cool. It's nothing to do with my degree. And my pay is just bills and rent and food. I literally cannot do nothing else. And that's because, again, cost of living is going up. Salaries are stagnant. Job opportunities are stagnant. Being an entrepreneur is stagnant for some because, again, even if you have a credit card, you want to open your little business, what you gonna do with $1,000 a month? What goods you ordering? Because when you order it, you still have to pay to clear it. When customs charging your arm and a leg to clear things, how are you going to earn profit? Understand? So it's not making sense. Right? That's my first point. That's not making sense at all. Right? The next thing is where people leaving and going to, right? Because we have a bunch of destinations. So it's where people going to. The most obvious one is the US, Florida, New York, Canada, London, England, the UK in general. And next new one seems to be Dubai, where people going over there because it have more opportunities. Is more of the popular destinations. Even Canada. I have some friends working in the US. I have a friend in Dubai. I have family in Canada, the UK, the US. And by all means, all of them have their challenges, but some things we have to look at. And the reason is, one thing, career growth. Plenty of them who go there, the career growth is noticeable. They start here and they can move up. It's not as difficult per se. While it does have its challenges, you can move up. There's growth in your career. There are better, how's the way to put this? There's better educational opportunities for some even while working. Because like some jobs here, while you're working, if you want to get time off to go and further yourself and your education, they're not going to give you time off If you had to take a day off, there's no pay. If you had to take a half day, there's no pay for half day. So that's one. The next thing is the salaries are better at some of these places. While again, the challenges are there. We're not saying it's perfect over there, because by all means it is not perfect. But they're higher salaries. That's why you see back in the 90s and the 80s and even the early 2000s, you're gonna see most of us have family members who migrated away to work and make a life for themselves. And some of them help back home with families and they would send money back, and that's because they're able to do that. While the salary might not be $1 billion, the salary is better enough that they are able to send money back to help here. So higher salaries. Also, there's the thing of some people feeling safer away, and that's understandable. Certain areas like Canada or the areas in the US or the UK, there are certain areas where it's much safer than here, even in Dubai. So places like these, people feel safer, and it seems like, that is one of the reasons why they want to migrate. Something else I hear come up a lot is better healthcare too. It seems that healthcare, while over there most times is paid, it is better than here, because while we have free healthcare here is ass. Like, I stopped going to the hospital. Me personally, I don't go to the hospital. If I'm sick, unless it's an absolute emergency, I personally don't go to the doctor. Unless I need more shots or it real bad, you're not seeing me there. Last time I break my hand, I went to bed. It's only when I wake up in the morning I had to go to the hospital because I couldn't use my hand. That was it. So yeah, that was probably the last time I was officially in the hospital for myself. But that's why. So the question is now, is migration becoming the new success story for the Caribbean youths? Is it? Because a lot of my people, or a lot of my people, meaning people from my year, my age group, my age bracket, I've seen a lot of my people go across to different countries and become successful. So is it becoming a new success story for the youths in general, for people our age or younger? Is Trinidad just a terrible place to be now? Is it? Because if you look at a bunch of these different things we would have mentioned earlier, you would see that there are ups and downs to everything. But again, we fighting for we life down here. Some people prefer to fight for the life up there because it's more comfortable, peace of mind. They might be struggling here and they just don't like it and they rather struggle there. Because you never know what somebody going through there. Because sometimes people make it seem like it's a bed of roses up there, while it not always is the story, So that's one. The next thing is the emotional side of things. And the part about that is, when you do go away, or if you do go away or migrate, right, there are going to be things that kind of, throw you off the emotional side of things. One being missing your culture. When you're in Trinidad, culture is a little bit different from our way, because Trinis like to lime, like to party, like to fete. Every weekend you're out, you're with your friends, everybody close by. Everything is a stone throw away. You want to meet your friends, you call them up, you have a line by this one house, that one house. It's real easy. You go abroad, you're not gonna have that as often. You want to go to the beach, you can't just pick up yourself and go to the beach or the river. And next thing is homesick. A lot of people get homesick. They miss home. They miss the food. They miss their parents. They miss their family. These are things that you actually have to consider, because if you want to be successful abroad, or you want to make that journey abroad, you're going to have to sacrifice things, and you're going to have to ask yourself, is the success abroad worth the sacrifice? because that's something that's gonna be playing on your mind right through, right? So that's the next thing. So yeah, we have all of those things to look at, right? Family, culture. Worse yet, if you're a parent, if you are a parent going away to make way for your kids to live that better life, right? One thing you're going to have to look at as well is parenting from abroad, and that's going to be tough on some parents. And so these are all things to think about on the emotional side of it before just saying, hey, I want to go away. And the same thing applies as a kid or a child or even an adult if your parents still alive or your caretakers. You're going to have to leave them here and then go abroad. And that in itself could play on you and your mindset, because while you have that motivation, you want to be successful for them, you're going to miss them, and that will play a part in a lot of things as well. So that's just something to think of on the emotional side. But aside from that, there's also, the counter argument of why not stay here and build your success here, build at home. And again, some people choose to do that, some people choose to go away. But for the ones who choose to stay, it's because of a lot of things. How do we put this? So the first one is the people who choose to stay, right? It's because some of them are, let's just put it as the breadwinners for the home, or some of them are the onlyest ones to a family that could provide here or take care of the family here, because they may have older uncles or aunts or grandparents or parents or whomever it is, or even kids that they have to see about, so it does not afford them the opportunity to leave to go and do that. So one of the counter arguments is you have all these things on your plate, stay here and build here. Some people again are able to do it with things like remote work, those who are able to get remote jobs that pay well. There's entrepreneurship. Again, we would have touched on that earlier with the ones who are able to make it over all the hurdles we mentioned before and can get their businesses up and running and profitable. Then yes, they're able to build at home and make that something that they could use. Again, some people have the opportunity to create that change. If we look at the Caribbean in general, we'll see that social media wise, content wise, a lot of opportunities to create change has been popping up in regards to, we have more people stepping in front of the camera and creating opportunities for themselves through content some way or the other, be it marketing, jokes, comedians, whatever you want to call it, different things. And this leads to more opportunity in regards to them being able to do more things and create that positive change and get the ball rolling for others. There's also the aspect of the cultural roots, the Caribbean pride. We could go on and on about those two, but in my humble opinion, I don't feel like cultural roots or Caribbean pride is going to stop me from doing what I want to do. It may stop a lot of other people though, and that may be one of the reasons a lot of people stay here instead of going away to work, because they are of the mindset that if everybody leaves, who's going to remain here to build the future, right? Who? And that's the thing, right? And that is a good thing to ask. If everybody does leave, who exactly is going to make the change? Because right now we need change. That is one thing we definitely need. And I think one of the things we need to look at is we need to get rid of the narrative that some trainees don't want to work because there's that narrative that a lot of young people don't want to work. And I think one of the solutions is we need to remove that narrative. And I say that for the sake of, again, there are a lot of us who are struggling and we take any jobs we can get. However, nobody wants to work somewhere where they're underappreciated, underpaid, and overlooked. And I feel like that is one of the things we don't touch on much in this discussion about staying or migrating. And again, that's because it's kind of taboo for some. Some people don't like to talk about their jobs, their experiences, all of that. I am an open book in that regard. I will tell you if I like it, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, everything in between. But my thing is, we need more opportunities to be created here. We need more jobs. We need more skill training. We need more opportunities for young people, but not just young people work-wise. We need opportunities in being able to teach young people as well on how to carry on and act in jobs. Because I will say one thing I have noticed is some of these companies that don't want to hire students who just graduated with degrees, masters, with little experience, some of them are going the route of hiring even younger persons who now finish CXC or A levels, and there's no problem in that. My thing is, you're bringing in some of these workers or people to work, and they have no sense of work, no etiquette, no nothing. So that brings down things a little bit and makes it even harder for the qualified people to get jobs. And this may drive people to migrate instead of staying, because this also means less job opportunities for actually qualified people. Understand? My thing is, everybody deserves a fair shot, but also we need to be able to pull up on people when they're doing shit. And we also need to be able, in this day and age, to send people home when their tenured retire time is here. Because another issue we have here is we have all these old people working, and they refuse to send them home and keep them in place. And when they are still in place in these positions, it does not create opportunities. It takes away opportunities. Because why uncle who's 80 still working as an engineer? While he may be good, I'm not saying no. It's time y'all hire somebody new. You could keep uncle on the payroll and but have him train someone, teach someone to eventually give up his place. Why in every government institute is always who you know? Right? That's my big question. Every government institute you want a job, whole lot Trinidad applying. Why it always comes down to who you know? Why it has to be like that? Why is it always that unfair bias that we're looking at? Why is it always something along those lines? Why? And then you'll wonder why people struggling, why people not getting jobs. Because how are you going to tell me and somebody who now finished CXC apply for the same job? The job requires a degree in X, Y, and Z. That person have no experience. I have work experience. And then you go in and hire them over me. Well, I get giving them a chance is fine and all, but make it make sense. At the end of the day, I have to make things make sense, right? Make it make sense. So yeah, again, all this is driving people to migrate instead of stay. And then the brain drain. Everybody coming out now with a degree. Everybody with a degree in everything. Everything. I have a degree in land management and I can't even get a job in that because how many opportunities you see pop up with that? Let alone for the engineers and the doctors and the teachers who struggling to get jobs in those fields. And I could say that because I know a lot of them. So we just here chilling, doing what we could do in the meantime to survive. And the government doesn't care about half of us or that. So what we going to do? And this pushes the crime narrative because some people turn to crime to feed their families. What else you want them to do? And it's understandable because that is the only way they're going to be able to feed their families, right? So again, we have a lot of things we need to work on as a country, but also as people, as individuals. We have to ask ourselves that question as well. What benefits us? What is the right choice for us? We need to weigh the pros and cons of the stay or migrate to figure out which one is better for us. And that would be each individual have to figure that out for themselves. They need to figure out the question of, do I go, do I stay? How that going to impact my life? So yeah, once you could figure out that question, sit with yourself, ask yourself that question and figure it out, you would know if you should migrate or stay. But some of us don't have the luxury of being able to migrate either. That's something we don't really talk much on, but I would have touched on it a little bit earlier with some of the points I brought up. Your family is here. So let me just say, I working, my salary not big, so it's hard to save when you're taking care of all the bills. So when pay hit, you pay your bills, you pay your rent, you buy your food, you're left with minimum money to save. That's the first struggle of migrating. Or you gotta migrate if you have no savings. The next struggle is if you're taking care of all the bills here and you living with your parents and they're not working, right? When you migrate, who gonna pay the bills here? Because then it can be you had to pay bills there, plus you had to pay bills here. So that's two sets of bills you're gonna have to pay. Yeah? So all those are things that you had to ask yourself before you jump into the fact of stay or migrate. And then this ties into the last episode that we did with this burden of being the ones that have to provide, because some of our parents did not set up plans for the future. They thought they would be young and strong forever and they would be millionaires, but they had no plan on how to become millionaires. So they just lived their life and now they get old and they throw all their burdens on their kids and say, yeah, you do this. So people with situations like that can't just look at migrating, they have to stay. And staying is difficult because again, if you have a degree and your only job you're getting is working as a cashier and your pay is minimum wage and you're making 4,000, 5,000 a month, for the people who live in and the parents have homes, then sure, you could survive on that. You don't have to pay much. God bless you, your parents was able to get a house for you or provide you with land or a cow, something to help you halfway because you would have much to do aside from survive. However, the people who paying rent, taking care of everything else, them struggling with that 5,000, so while that 5,000 to you might be real plenty or enough to do much or enough to do more than, and you could go out and you could lime and you could party and you could drink and you could go on vacation and you could do this and that and the next. Count yourself lucky and count it as a blessing because the same other person next to you doing that job might barely be getting by with that 5,000 a month. And that's just the reality of life. Yeah? And again, all that plays into the stay or migrate talk because if you think 5,000 is too little bit, you might think I'm migrating to get more. But again, you have limitations on that because if you have nowhere to stay when you go, you have to pay bills there and here. So it comes with a give and take. It comes with a give and take. Because again, who going and really provide and do everything for you? And then it have people who buy themselves on their own from the jump. from out of school. So they have no support system to help them with any of these things. That makes it worse, and that's just the sad reality of it here. And some of those people will push to migrate because they have no roots tying them down here. By all means, if you're able to, take the chance and go. Once you have nothing holding you down, make that jump. But again, is a risky thing. It's risky because what is the biggest reason for people leaving Trinidad? It's risky, but what is the biggest reason people leaving Trinidad? What is the biggest reason? You tell me, what do you think is the biggest reason? Better yet, is staying a risk or an opportunity? Because while we talking about all these different things, right? Let's look at it from the standpoint. If you stay in Trinidad, is that a risk or is that an opportunity for you? Can it provide you with an opportunity? It depends. But you need to ask yourself that question too. Is staying here benefiting me or not? We don't know. Alright, so it has so many different things. But again, migration is a very deeply personal decision. And some people leave for opportunity, some stay to build. There's a lot in between. We can't just look at it at those two single things, black and white. There's a spectrum to this. But whether you choose to stay and build or migrate for opportunity, either way, the Caribbean story continues. And have people like me here who fight in the good fight, going on with the Caribbean story, trying to make it work, doing things to occupy with time, to pass time by while we try to figure things out. And that's just how it swings. As the people that say how it hang it swing, that is it right now. How it hang it swing, we're figuring it out. Some of us branch out, as I said. I'm one of those. I ain't famous. I ain't a podcaster. I ain't a YouTuber. Well, I am, but in regards of being famous, I'm not. I'm just a regular Trinidad Central boy doing my thing, going to work, working long hours for less pay than he should be getting, who needs more pay. But I'm just the regular Trini, fighting the daily struggles to survive, doing all these extra things because what we gonna do if we don't do it? Go crazy? Probably. So it's just me against the world. Me and this little phone here recording this against the world, trying to figure out if I should stay or migrate. But again, guys, this was episode 3. Our next kinda deep topic. It's not really deep, It's not really deep. Let me be real, it's not really deep. But it is. Because again, it's a simple question. Stay or migrate. But when you start looking into it, then it gets deep. Right? So we could say deep, but not as deep as the last episode. But yeah. What I'll tell all you, boy. We had to fight the good fight and hope for the best. But unless you have links in Trinidad, things tough. Let me be real. Things tough unless you're born with a silver spoon or a gold spoon in your mouth. If you ain't born with that, you're going to have to fight to make it on your own so that your generation after you could be at peace. So again, it will come down to the decision at the end of the day, how you want to build for your future. You want to migrate, you want to stay, you have plans, how you're going to sort out these plans to come true. What is your steps you're going to take? Everybody different, everybody life different, everybody's story different, everybody choices different, and the way to make it different. So you be the judge of your own story. And to those who who might be able to talk to their friends and ask questions and figure things out and get our guidance from them. Do it. Talk to people. Reach out to people. If you know people who live in different countries, reach out to them. Find out things about these countries that you want to go to. Don't just find out about the nice side, find out about the struggles as well. Ask questions, because I don't want to see somebody just pick up all yourself for picking all yourself up and going sick and then struggling there too. Ask questions, get information, use your head, think things through, and once you do the correct research, your answer will be apparent whether you stay or you migrate based on your situation. But yeah, guys, this was episode 3. If you enjoyed this episode, share Trini Talks to your friends, your family, your gal, your side gal, your outside gal, the man wife, the Hona gal, the Hona man, the side man, the dog, the cat, the bird, the 2 fish outside, the man walking down the road. Share the video with everybody, share the podcast with everybody, and always remember, think before you talk, think about your actions before you do them, and most of all, think. Understand? Think overall. Think. Don't just make rash decisions. Think. So yeah, I'll see you all for episode 4. I mean, I promise all the episode 4 coming in a week or 2 weeks. It depends on how we're pushing, but we're gonna try to drop our episode 4 by next week. We're gonna try. Keyword, try. If not next week, the following week. But I will try. And this week's supposed to be a good week for me, so I'll go push. Depending on my schedule and see. I don't come up with a topic for episode 4 though. So, my hands in the air. If all you have any suggestions, throw it out. If all you have no suggestions, we're gonna make up something. We're gonna figure it out. But yeah, I have a few ideas there. But anyway, this is your boy Darian. This is episode 3 of Trini Talks. Signing out. Stay good, stay happy, stay cool, stay vibesy, stay whatever you want to say it. Or keep chill, keep cool. We'll see you all in the next one. Later.